Michael Jackson had gone from child star to the undisputed king of pop. With multiple #1 albums and Grammy Awards, Michael was raking in tens of millions of dollars a year. But in 1984, it all started to go wrong. While shooting a commercial, disaster struck.
The pyrotechnics on stage lit Michael's hair. You see a flame on his head, and it's several seconds before people realize it.
It's third-degree burns on his head. Incredibly painful injury.
That haunted Michael for years.
The accident would ultimately set Michael on a path of self-destruction.
When Michael's drug use of opioids first started, it was because of the pain from the fire making the Pepsi commercial.
And this was something that may have started what we would see happen to him later in life in terms of, using pills and abusing pills and drugs.
Battling psychological pain as well as the physical scars, Michael headed back to the studio to work on his next album.
In 1987, Michael releases Bad. Huge hit. It sells 22 million copies, 5 #1 hits.
Songs like Dirty Diana, Smooth Criminal, and Man in the Mirror topped the charts.
This is a huge deal for a number of reasons. Obviously, he's making tons of money off the album sales and touring and everything, but it also proves that he's a huge, bankable star who is here to stay.
The 80s were basically the decade of Michael Jackson. He was everywhere. His music was everywhere. His concerts were the biggest thing that you could go to. He was in everything that you could possibly see. It was unavoidable.
Ever the showman, Michael demanded perfection, and that came with a hefty price tag.
He would hire the best directors, the best producers, the best dancers, and that's why all his work shined, because he would have the best of the best.
So Michael never mentioned money ever. All he wanted to know was, is it the biggest and is it the best? That's it.
Everything had to be A++ for Michael Jackson. He wouldn't settle for anything less. And this cost a lot of money.
Michael also employed a sizable staff, including management team member Shauna Mangatal.
Going to visit Michael on tour was like a dream. It was like an all-expenses-paid vacation. I remember going to Japan, and as soon as I landed, there was a limo waiting to pick me up, to take me to this luxurious hotel. And all of that was paid for by Michael. No expense was spared in Michael's world.
Michael also began spending large sums on cosmetic surgery.
We would see a different Michael by Bad in 1987 than we saw in 1979, before Thriller.
Allegedly, his father used to call him Big Nose. So, with money, you can do whatever you want. So Michael starts getting plastic surgery, and he starts to drastically alter his physical form.
We're going to narrow the nose.
Michael developed a troubling obsession with refining his looks.
Michael was a perfectionist, and he was also an artist, and that's how he treated his face. And so if he saw something that he didn't like, he changed it.
And this really freaked people out. They thought that this guy, who looked like a normal, cute guy, was starting to really go under the knife and get some crazy surgery. And this really made people wonder what was going on with him.
His mother told me that, Michael was addicted to plastic surgery, that she kept trying to talk him out of having any more. And in fact, she would even talk to one particular doctor who did several of the surgeries and suggest that he just fake having done it. Put Michael under, tell him he did a nose job, and Michael will be happy.
The surgeries reportedly cost millions.
No matter how huge he was, I think that in his head, he was still kind of that, beaten down kid in Gary, Indiana. So, yes, he is the king of pop, and he's grown into an adult, but I think his mindset was still like an abused child.
In 1988, Michael made his most extravagant purchase yet. A 3,000-acre estate near Santa Barbara that became known as Neverland. The cost? $17 million.
He put millions of dollars into upgrading it.
When you stepped into Neverland, the first thing that you would see were animals.
As soon as you enter in your car, an elephant walked by and then a giraffe. I'm not exaggerating. The trainers were with them. And just throughout the house, all these statues and the chairs and everything, you can tell Michael spent millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on furniture.
And then you could go see a movie if you wanted to. He always had the latest movies playing in the movie theater.
Above the movie theater was a bedroom, so if Michael ever wanted to lay in bed and watch movies, it was right above the movie theater. Then to the right, outside, to the right of the movie theater was an amusement park with all the rides in the world. And then you hop into a go-kart and you go beyond it, and it's a zoo.
Michael had built his own fantasy land.
He wanted to create the world that he didn't have as a child.
But the problem is, it cost him $5 million a year just to maintain the property.
Neverland was a money pit. It was, because he had to keep a staff on hand 24/7. You have to pay those people. You have to pay the people to run the rides and to take care of the animals. That costs a lot of money.
The money wasn't a problem for Michael, at least not yet. In his fantasy kingdom of Neverland, Michael was increasingly feeling isolated and alone. So when he signed a $65 million recording contract with Sony in 1991, he sought solace in retail therapy on an industrial scale.
Michael's spending goes out of control at this point, and he'll sit in his house, he'll have an assistant bring him a catalog, he will go through the catalog. He won't just order one pair of shoes. He orders every single solitary thing in the entire catalog. This is where he goes on these incredible shopping sprees. He takes a private jet to London, takes a whole group of people, rents out the entire floor of a five-star hotel, goes antique shopping, buys everything in the store.
The rumor is that he had to rent out a whole new plane just to carry his stuff back to the United States.
It wouldn't be abnormal for Michael to go into Harrods in London and spend $150,000 in a day, or to Beverly Hills and an antique shop where he'll drop $250,000 like you and I buy a sandwich.
He would fill warehouses full of stuff that he bought around the world. I mean, a lot of storage warehouses are filled to this day with things that Michael Jackson bought.
Go with that, because you know what, I want to get a couple more.
So at one point, it was said that Michael was spending $8 million a year just on travel and antiques alone.
He has this huge car collection with limousines, just insanely expensive things.
I don't think that you're able to stay grounded or sane when you reach that level of fame unless you have a good team of people around you and people that can like call you out and put you in your place. And I don't think Michael had that.
But Michael's carefully constructed fantasy world was too good to be true. It was about to be torn apart in the most outrageous manner imaginable.
In 1993, shocking accusations were leveled against Michael Jackson.
Accusations that would set Michael on a downward spiral, lead to financial ruin.
This was the craziest thing that anybody had ever heard. But the scary thing was that a lot of people believed it.
And ultimately, his tragic death.
It didn't do anything, I don't want to settle.